Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. See ebaymotors.com.
Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
What up, Laker fans? Welcome back to the Jello Jiggling podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Ward, and we're getting to that slow period in the NBA offseason. Well, it's the NBA offseason for the Lakers, at least. Mavs and Celtics have advanced to the NBA Finals, which should be fun. Talk about that a little bit later. But in the meantime, there is some Lakers news. There's always something that comes out. There's just not a lot because it's that limbo period, especially with all the talk of JJ Redick potentially getting hired after his obligation with ESPN is over following the finals. So we could be waiting for another 2 weeks because I think it begins on the 6th, and it's not like the conference finals was like every other day. I think it's spread out a little bit further. I don't know. Either way, we still got some time here. Maybe even it goes beyond that, if you believe what everybody's saying. It seems like every report that comes out right now is, the Lakers are only just beginning their process. But then at the same time, they say, JJ Redick is the clear favorite, the strongest candidate, and the team loves him. Pat Riley 2.0, blah, 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 blah. But so it's funny to me because it seems like a foregone conclusion that JJ is going to get the job, and all these other interviews with like James Borrego and Sam Cassell and stuff are just formalities, right? But maybe they're just vetting for his coaching staff or whatever. And but whatever. There were some interesting things that came out recently. Rajon Rondo is supposedly in or under consideration for JJ's coaching staff. And I remember when I put an Instagram post together, a little graphic, it was a report from Dan Wilkie of LA Times saying, how Rondo could be on the coaching staff. And somebody asked, isn't that the head coach's choice to fill out his coaching staff? And I said, yeah, I thought that was a little strange as well. But if you think he's a first-timer, he's getting advice from all angles, especially the team, right? The team is probably like, hey, look, here's some options to fill out your staff because you've never had one, because you've never coached a day in your life. So, here's options. If you like them, cool. If you don't, whatever. And obviously, Rondo, that's the one name that has come up that has been a first-timer of sorts that I have been like, yeah, that makes sense. All you hear about Rondo, even going back into his career, all the way back to like Boston and stuff, is how brilliant a basketball mind he is, and how his basketball IQ is just totally off the charts. And I know that's really cliche because you're hearing the same thing about Redick, but I don't remember ever hearing that about Redick while he was playing. But I remember that frequently when Rondo was playing, especially when he was in LA. It sounded like he was kind of already a part of like Vogel's coaching staff when he was coaching the team. He was just kind of a coach on the floor. So I thought that was cool, and he's a no nonsense guy, right? He's not a pushover. He'll get in people's faces quite literally, and he's confrontational. He'll tell you what he thinks, and I think that's a good thing. I think you need those guys, especially with all this kind of shaping up to be just like kind of like LeBron's, makeshift coaching staff, like you have a guy who's going to say, no, screw that. Like we're doing this, or we should do this. Like, think about this. You know what I mean? I think that's a good thing. But I did think it was kind of funny because I thought for a second there, I'm like, I saw somebody tweeted out with the Rondo CP3 fight from years ago. And I just was like, for a second, I'm like, could Rondo seriously be coaching CP3 next year? I mean, from an assistant, standpoint, but I was like, man, that is one awkward pairing. I mean, I thought it was bad enough with like Westbrook, being on the team and Rondo. But this one is just way more volatile. There's clearly no love lost between those guys. So that could be interesting. But there was also a rumor that came out. I mean, all we're going to get is rumors right now. And it sounds like all the talk of Lakers getting a third star was kind of just a bunch of smoke. Or maybe they just realized, hey, that's probably not all that realistic. Because there's really only two targets, only two big name targets. There's Trae Young, who recently just told Clutch Sports to take a hike in favor of CAA to be his representation. So that doesn't really fit now. Doesn't really make sense. Like, why would you bring him in? He just told the company to, hit the bricks. So I seriously doubt Trae is even an option anymore. And that might have been what they were banking on, and Trae just kind of pivoted for whatever reason. It's just like, I just don't want to do this anymore. I don't know. And he didn't care whether or not it impacted his future. So that's, I would say he's off the table. And then there's Donovan Mitchell is the other name, which is getting a lot of buzz, right? And he controls his own fate because supposedly he'll be offered a contract extension and, a really lucrative one by the Cavs. And if he signs it, then all the trade speculation is over. Unless it's a sign and trade or something, but that's not going to happen. And then there's Dan Gilbert just being adamant about not trading him to the Lakers. When you mess around, with teams and, you bounce it back and forth, with LeBron coming and going from Cleveland, I assume that's part of why Gilbert's like, adamant about this. People are going to put their foot down eventually. He's just going to be like, no, we're not working with you. Sorry. There's all these rumors and stuff, but no, we're not doing this. So that's the two big names off the market. And there's that report I think it was Buha that reported it, saying they're going to pivot from a third star to just adding more depth, which I thought was a smarter move anyway. I mean, it didn't work with Westbrook. I think it might work with Mitchell, but I don't. It's one thing that people keep thinking is like, oh yeah, great, bring him to LA. Think about it from his perspective. The guy's in the prime of his career, right? And he's going to come to LA to be the third star, where he gets all the blame if it goes wrong. It's all going to be on him. I mean, that's the trend, right? Why would he want to do that? It doesn't make it. I mean, yeah, after the LeBron era, cool, right? He could be number one or just behind AD and then number one, right? But right now, I don't think that makes a whole lot of sense. Stay in Cleveland, make a ton of money, be the face of the franchise, have a better chance of reaching the finals because, Cleveland has a better path, arguably than the Lakers do. I don't know if if it'll ever work out in Cleveland with those guys. I think they got a lot of talent, but it just for some reason doesn't fit together, which is a shame because I like their squad. I like Jared Allen. I like Evan Mobley. I like Darius Garland. And I thought that foursome was stacked. I was like, damn, dude, these guys are gonna be good. After I saw that trade that happened a couple of years ago, I'm like, this makes a lot of sense. But it doesn't always work. I think more often than not, it doesn't work, right? It's so hard to get that special combination of of players to where it clicks and everything functions the way it's supposed to, and you can compete with the best and the best in the NBA, especially like in the West right now, which is just absolutely a gauntlet of great teams. Or I'd say maybe 4 top tier teams, which, I mean, you got to get through all the rounds in the playoffs. Look how hard it was for the Lakers even to contend with the Nuggets. And then the Nuggets go up against Minnesota, and who was clearly better in that series. And then Minnesota can't even contend with Dallas. Like, they barely got one win. I mean, there was some really hard-fought battles, and it was an entertaining series for sure. But Dallas was clearly the better team in that series. And now it'll be interesting to see what Dallas can do against Boston. Like I said, we'll talk about that later. So if they pivoting to veteran talent, yeah, it makes sense. Just bank, you probably got 2 years left, AD and LeBron, right? Maybe one year they go, all in or whatever. But these are the options you got, I mean, most teams are lucky just to have 1 star, let alone 2 superstars, right? And that's what the Lakers have right now. So they just got to find the right pieces around them and stay healthy. And that's been the problem. Even when it seems like they got the right pieces, like I thought they did last year, they still just struggled to stay healthy. And then obviously the coaching was shit. So that doesn't help. But it brings me to the next point. Darvin apparently is getting interest from the Warriors, which is not, I don't know if it's surprising. I mean, once you get a head coaching gig, you kind of link to a lot of other, opportunities, just like in any job, right? You reach a certain level, you're gonna get more opportunities, at that level or just below it, right? After whatever happens with the job that you had. And I think that'd be a good move for him. Go on Steve Kerr's staff. I mean, you're going to learn from a really smart head coach, arguably top 3 in the league, with like Spoelstra and Popovich, and some of the rising stars, Finch, Jason Kidd. But I did think it was interesting that he declined to join Coach Bud's staff in Phoenix, though, since he's so familiar with Bud. Maybe he just doesn't want to be in his shadow anymore, or maybe he sees the kind of shit show it is in Phoenix right now and how that could be more of a disaster than it was in LA this past season. For whatever reason, he turned it down. So, or maybe he's just, weighing his options, and maybe he thinks a head coaching job is going to open up and he'll have an opportunity, and he probably will. But we'll see. It's not like Laker fans really give a shit what happens to him from here on out. I mean, I be honest, I really don't. I just thought it was kind of interesting, the path of his career from here on out. But anyway, Woj apparently said that it's nowhere close to hiring a new head coach. Chris Haynes of Bleacher Report said he'd be very surprised if it's not JJ. Brian Windhorst also said today that that JJ's a very strong candidate, but it's still early in the process. The same ho-hum crap that we're probably going to get for the next 2 weeks until the finals are over. I mean, it could be a foregone conclusion where just finals are over, Lakers don't waste any time, hire JJ, work on the staff, or maybe they're working on the staff right now. Like they've already come to like a verbal agreement with JJ, and they're just like, okay, hey, look, we're going to start vetting, potential assistants for your staff. And that's what their main focus is right now. I don't know. I mean, you never know what happens behind the scenes with these guys. And you hear, 100 different reports, but it seems like the same report over and over again. It's just like these insiders have no new information. It's just the same thing. It's just, so it just sounds inevitable. And if that is the case, then whatever, let's do it, move on, figure out how to, put the right pieces on the roster. And then Torian Prince recently did an interview with my Laker Station colleague Trevor Lane and talked about his immediate future because he's going to be a free agent. And he said he 100% wants to return to LA. And even though a lot of people gave Prince a lot of crap, I think, because he was kind of Darvin's guy and he was getting a lot of playing time that he probably shouldn't have, I still think he would be a good asset. He's a decent defender. He's a great shooter when he's locked in. Maybe with the right coaching, the right situation, it can unlock him, and he wasn't a bad player. He just, on this team, if you struggle even a little bit, you're going to get jumped on, you'd even have an Austin Reeves who's beloved in LA. And he got jumped on in the beginning of the season and even different parts of like the playoffs and the later part of the regular season. So I don't hate that. I don't hate that. He'll be cheap. He obviously just wants to win at this point in his career. Why not? So it'll be interesting to see what happens with him. Let's see. And then apparently the Lakers want to keep Reeves, which I find is interesting now because I think that would have totally changed if Mitchell and Young were truly on the table. And it's not to say that they don't try and trade for, say, DeJounte Murray again or go after Zach LaVine, which I think would be a disaster. I think Zach LaVine would be the worst case scenario for the Lakers. Huge contract. I think he's got maybe 3 or 4 years left on his deal with a player option in the end with massive number, which he'll almost certainly take. And I don't think he makes you that much better. And he's friggin' injury prone. Like, why do they keep targeting guys who can't stay healthy? Like, you got CP3. Dude he couldn't stay healthy when he was in his prime. And he didn't do anything in Golden State. I mean, he's clearly past his prime. And then the recent report about Kyle Lowry, like they might offer him the minimum. I think that was Windhorst as well. But no. That was Pincus. That was Eric Pincus, right? Let me see. I don't want to. Yeah, that was Pincus. He said they'll probably offer him the minimum, but he'll likely go back to Philly because Philly's has a roster of like 3 players heading into the summer because everybody's going to be a free agent. There's going to be a lot of turnover there, but potentially a few guys returning, like Kelly Oubre and Lowry and like Batum. So it's an option. I don't think it's a very good option. I think he's also past his prime. I also think I think a few years ago he would have been great, like the whole THT trade with Toronto that the Lakers refused to do, which they're probably kicking themselves in the ass for now. He would have been great then, veteran leader, championship experience. But just stop bringing these guys in who are just broken down, dude. It's for the Lakers just fall in love with star power. They put them on the graphics and like, the media guides and, flaunting it all over social media. And it's just like, you know what? We're not buying it anymore. I don't think anybody's buying it anymore. It's like, oh yeah, it's great. You got these guys, but you're not winning any games. Nothing has changed. So why do it? And then there was the report that it's kind of a conflicting one where first it was, Vando, Rui, D'Lo, and Vincent could be on the block, right? And then immediately after it was like, oh, Rui's not actively being shopped. I think the deals, if they can get a potential game changer for one or all of these guys or 2 deals for a couple players, they're going to do it. These guys are not untouchable. I mean, I would have said Vando was before he got hurt again. But now it just seems like the dude can't stay healthy. Just another one of those guys. Great when he's healthy. I mean, really good. But he can't stay healthy, man. He just can't. And Vincent's a question mark now. D'Lo's obviously, a hot or cold guy. And I think Rui's pretty much the same category there. Great when they're locked in and then they're playing at their potential, but it's just you can't really count on it consistently, And this is kind of an last ditch effort to win another title in the LeBron AD era, right? It don't work. It doesn't work this season. I mean, something's gonna happen. You would think anyway. You would think, because I just can't see them rolling out a 41-year-old, after this upcoming season, and an AD who's probably really frustrated at this point because he gets a lot of the blame a lot of the time, and he balls out on both ends of the floor every year. And this past year, I was probably more impressed with him than I have been. I mean, 2020 was incredible, but shortened season, different circumstances. This one was a full season. I mean, he tried to play all 82, and he almost got there, which is crazy. I think it was 75 games he played, which is the best. I think he did that once or twice in his career, his entire career before this past season. So he really put in that effort, and he played through injuries, which he usually wouldn't have done, and he still balled out. I still don't understand the whole disrespect in terms of not, putting him in the defensive player of the year conversation. I mean, like when you look at how Rudy Gobert got torched by Dallas, that would not happen to AD. If you switch them, it wouldn't happen. AD's obviously a better all-around player, but I just don't see AD making those excuse me, kind of mistakes on defense. I mean, some of them were just like, really? This guy's an elite defender? I mean, it was stupid decisions. Closing out on guys, like it just not having the discipline to stay down or keeping your arms up and flailing and knocking in. I think the emotion gets the best of him a lot and messes with his mind. He can't deal with people talking crap. And Luka, I think, was in his ear that whole series, which I thought was kind of funny. But yeah, it sucks. I feel for AD. I hope at one point he doesn't win that award, because I think that'd be very something he'll hold dear, and it would kind of be a message to the league. Yes, this guy is an elite defender. He always has been, and he's deserving of this. Let's see. Oh, and the Pelicans have made a decision on their pick that goes back to the AD trade. They're going to defer this year's pick, which is a first-round pick of number 17 overall. I love how the trash man comes right now when I'm on the pod. All day, and he comes right now. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it. Anyway, if you can hear me over that crap. So the Lakers going to keep the number 17 pick in the upcoming draft, and the Pelicans will get whatever first-round pick that the Lakers end up with next year, which is basically a gamble from New Orleans saying, hey, look, we think the Lakers going to be worse next year. The pick is going to be better. Or it just could be a statement in terms of how much talent's in this draft or the lack thereof. Maybe they just don't – there's nobody that blows them away in this draft class, and they're just like, we'll just wait till next year. What's the rush? We're a good team right now. We don't really need the influx of young talent, even though I think they'll be pretty busy this offseason, because it sounds like Brandon Ingram's done in New Orleans. They'll try and trade him, and I don't think he's coming to LA. I think once Ingram got traded from the Lakers, he was like, screw you guys. I'm done. Like, had to deal with it. That the end of that frustrating era of young guys, right? Which I loved. Actually, that's one of my favorite times covering this team, is when you had guys, Ingram, Larry Nance Jr., Jordan Clarkson, D'Lo, even though it was such a short time there, Josh Hart. I love watching those guys. I love watching those guys and watching them develop and turn into a team. And then LeBron got there, and there was promise. And then LeBron's was it his hamstring or groin? No, it was his groin. Went out against the Warriors on Christmas Day, and it just ended that whole thing. And then they traded for AD that summer. I was bummed. I mean, I thought they should have kept that core of young guys together, like Julius Randle too, and signed Paul George. I thought that would have been awesome. I thought they would have been a great team with a lot of potential. You know, they'd be like an OKC, you know, or Minnesota, right? Maybe not that good that fast, but that kind of potential, you know, like where they can keep growing and getting better as a core rather than just blowing it up like the Lakers always tend to do. It's like they get these promising young guys, you fall in love with them, or you see the potential, and then they ship them out the minute they have trade value. It's like, oh, well, you got there's interest around the league, and I can get a star in return. Okay, done deal. Peace out. Okay, just got a notification from Woj saying the Cavaliers received permission to interview Micah Nori, who was a candidate for. Oh, yeah, and it says Nori has also talked to the Lakers vacancy there, but he's an Ohio native, so that could be a foregone conclusion. That's a good hire for them if they go that direction. I like that guy. I think LA was a little. Not the right move for him. Not for a first timer with no buzz behind him, really. You know what I mean? But anyway, I think Vince Carter had some interesting quotes this week on Kobe. I thought it was really cool. He said that when he was on the fence about retirement, because I think Vince played till 40 or 41 and then walked away. I mean, he was on a Hawks team that was going nowhere. And I guess, and was it Hawks or Memphis that he ended up on last? Excuse me. But he said that he talked to Kobe about retirement, and Kobe was just glowing, right? He said, you'll love it. It's incredible. Oh, sorry, I'm getting emails at the same text messages and emails at the same time. I thought that was really cool. And he said he put his mind at ease and he made the decision to retire. He said Kobe really helped him, give him that push, which was cool. And then he also talked about the GOAT debate and how he's always thought that Kobe should be involved in it. Which I agree with. Just, I mean, at least consideration. I mean, 5 titles, incredible talent, generational. Yeah, he should be. I think Kareem should still be in the GOAT conversation. He's 6 titles and dominated every level that he ever played on. It's kind of a shame that he doesn't get that respect. I mean, I think that just kind of happens with centers that aren't, don't have that kind of flashy game or things that kids try to emulate on the court, whereas Kobe, Jordan, and LeBron, it's complete opposite. Everybody wants to be those guys. But I thought that was cool by Vince. He seems like a really good dude. And then there's the title odds. Title odds for next season have come out, and they're quite interesting considering where the Lakers are at. Apparently, the Lakers are 22-1, and this is from BetOnline.ag or .ag. 22-1 to win. There's 11 teams with better odds ahead of them, which is pretty substantial. Boston's the favorite at 15-4. Dallas right behind them at 6-1. So is generally the case, the 2 teams in the finals. And then Denver right behind them at 15-2. So Lakers not getting much love in the title conversation. And that's not all that surprising. Shouldn't be a huge deal. But that's where it's at for now. I mean, these odds change constantly. So that, I mean, if you're a huge Laker fan and and you have faith that they can turn it around next season and actually be a true title contender, that's a good bet. 22-1, you make some good money just putting $100 down. Not even that. You can put less than that, half that, and still make really good money. So just something to look at, which, like I said, constantly changes. It'll change with trades and how the finals pan out and free agency. All of those things come into play. And it'll go up and down until the start of the next season. So fluctuate for months. But sometimes you can get really good deals that you got to jump on right away. But other than that, it's the waiting game continues. We'll see what happens. I think we got a couple weeks here, which I'm sure more stuff will come out. But it seems inevitable. JJ is going to be Ham's successor, and it's just a matter of who's going to be on the coaching staff and what the team intends to do this summer, as well as what's LeBron going to do next month. This month. The 29th is his deadline to opt in or opt out. He's opting out. That's pretty obvious. He'd be stupid not to, because you can make way more money and secure a longer future. But you got to play this game, right? You got to play this stupid game until it gets to that point. But I'm sure he'll wait to the last minute to make that announcement, even though it's pretty obvious and evident what he's going to do. So it's just a matter of when he does opt out, is he immediately going to sign a new deal? Is he going to wait till see what happens in free agency? Is he going to talk to other teams and kind of, force the issue, or what's going to happen? So that's when things will get really interesting. And then there's the draft too, before that, and where Bronny goes, and do the Lakers, use their second round pick on Bronny? Is somebody else going to get him? Is there another team going to jump on ahead of them? All interesting stuff, all to come. It's going to be kind of a drag next couple of weeks, but at least we have the finals to watch, which I think will be entertaining. I'm taking Dallas. I can't take the Celtics. I don't think I've ever taken the Celtics. I think the Celtics have a really good team, but just watching Dallas just demolish Minnesota, it really made me think that they have finally come into their own in the Luka era, and they can kind of play with anybody. But that remains to be seen. Boston's defense is another level, and Boston has so many more playmakers that are consistent and battle tested that it's going to be tough. It's going to be way tough. I think it could go. If I were to pick, I'd say Dallas in 6 or 7, right? I think it could, but I think it could go both ways easily. But we'll see. Game 1 Thursday. Tune in. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun to watch. It's gonna be entertaining. But until then, talk to you all later. Hopefully, we got more news next time I talk to you. Peace.
Thank you for listening to Believe. You can show support to your host by subscribing to the show and giving us a 5-star rating on your preferred platform. Check us out at Believe.com and search for BLEAV on YouTube.
When you're listening to a true crime story that has an unbelievable plot twist that makes you stop in your tracks? That's what our podcast, People Are the Worst, brings you with each episode. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Rebecca. We're identical twins who love true crime cases that make you say, didn't see that coming, and we hate the people responsible for them. Listen to People Are the Worst now on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.